Hey, Kelly, I'm super excited to have you here with us at Pier 57 and, so excited to be kicking off our Partner AI Forum. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your role at Slalom, please.
Yeah, I am so excited to be here. So I run Slalom's East Coast business. So all the work we do from New England down to Florida, working with our teams and our clients to advance their modernization strategies and initiatives, a lot of that with Google.
Awesome, great. I'm looking forward to working with you more this year. I have to ask you, what would be your ideal AI assistant if you could have one? I was just thinking about it yesterday while I was in the kitchen. Mine would be somebody who could cook for my family because I have some tough crowd at home.
I have a tough crowd at home too, on the cooking, but also on travel. I think that would be my preference. We love a good vacation, good travel, and someone that can really understand, an agent that can understand my personal preferences, take all of the information out there and devise the perfect travel itinerary for my family. I think that would be my top choice.
Yeah, you know what my itinerary looks like when I travel? Hour and a half for coffee, a lot of sleeping, no cooking, and no cleaning.
There you go. Well, the AI agent would know that about you.
Exactly. That's great. I think that's a great idea. I would love that. In addition to cooking, having a personal, entourage to help us travel.
Yes.
So Kelly, I know you said you're running the East Coast business, which is obviously very heavy, I'm assuming, in financial services. I would love to learn from your perspective as you all are having conversations with the customer. What are you hearing from the customers? What are some of the business problems customers are bringing to you all? And how is Slalom, solving those problems for the customers? And not only that, how are you thinking about setting the customer up for the future?
Yeah, we certainly have a lot of regulated industries across the East. One of the things I think we talk a lot about, we've made a ton of progress in the past 12 to 18 months in terms of employees starting to understand the value of AI. But I think what we hear from a lot of our clients is that it's still scattered experimentation. And there's not really a coordinated value realization that's happening at the enterprise level. I know there's a lot out there around execution being the gap, but I still think that there's a gap in strategy. How are we actually looking across an organization, tying all of the places where we've got amazing proof of concepts, a lot of bottoms-up idea generation that's happening into a cohesive enterprise strategy that really ties into business value, that locks into the strategy, that has some prioritization criteria around how do you look across the enterprise and decide where you're investing in AI. A lot of organizations are thinking about how do you future-proof the organization? What does that look like? I think having those elements in place foundationally so that you have the right to continue to invest in AI in the future is really important. So moving from that experimentation, proliferation of ideas, and really making it into a cohesive AI strategy that's anchored to business value and benefit, I think is really important. And one of the things that we see a lot of our clients continuing to evolve and continuing to figure out how they play in that space.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think as we're having conversations out in the field with our customers are really coming to us and our partner ecosystem and asking us to deliver on the production ready business outcomes from the get-go. The whole concept of let's do this in a POC and then we'll see how it goes or we'll deploy it in the production at some point in time is going away. And the customers are really looking for partners and the technology innovators to come in together with a strong point of view on what prepares them for the future from the perspective of agentification, whether it's around a specific industry, whether it's a specific function within an enterprise. So I'm glad that you all are also taking a holistic approach. Financial services industry, I'll just pick that up to get deeper into specific use cases and implementation to be specific. It's a very regulated industry compared to maybe retail, maybe CPG. I would love to understand your perspective, especially in the financial services industry. What are some of the challenges that you all are seeing that the customers are having specifically with Gemini Enterprises, and the AI implementation as a whole, as customers embark on the execution of the
Yes.
AI strategy? Because defining business outcomes, building a strategy is one leg of the stool, but making sure we do the implementation and we do the implementation with the right guardrails, governance in place, security in place that meets all the industry and regulations and requirements is equally critical. Would love your perspective on that from the delivery and implementation perspective.
Yeah, I think I love your point around kind of that day zero, day one value creation. AI has sped up our expectations around when we expect to get value from what we are experimenting with. So when I think about an industry like financial services that is highly regulated, there is a lot of governance and regulatory requirements that are in place for a lot of good reasons, right? That protect where a company is going, how we comply with what's out there. Most of our financial services clients, a lot of them have started as they've moved to production-ready use cases with Google. They've looked at kind of what can we do from an employee-facing standpoint. So let's start there. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit in terms of just being able to access HR-related things, internal employee chatbots, things that allow them to speed to productivity, drive efficiency internally. But we're also seeing clients start to think about how do they leverage AI in a customer-facing way. That's not just about efficiency, but maybe it's also about driving additional products, market share, value. So how does that AI become not just a question query, but an assistant that's helping them autonomously think through driving leads, thinking through how they're responding to their business, working alongside a financial advisor, for example, to prepare for that client meeting, pulling together all the information they need from external information, internal research, that customer's kind of 360-degree view of their portfolio. So they're going into those client meetings so much more prepared. So there's so many use cases out there, and I think it's important for any of our regulated industries that they're doing that in context of a safe and secure environment. But I also think we're seeing that, there's stats that say 70% of employees are already using AI in the workplace. And a lot of those, sometimes they're using it within the enterprise tooling they have. Sometimes they're using it on their own personal productivity tools. So how do we make sure that we give them the enterprise tooling so they can do the things they want to do in their job, but they're able to do it with visibility, with governance security, and actually with a coordinated value view so the organization understands not just on an individual desktop basis, but how are they actually realizing value across the enterprise?
Yeah. You remind me of a very interesting meeting I had a couple of weeks ago on a personal front with my financial advisor. And, historically, we've gone into those meetings and the financial advisor shows up with a pile of printouts, literally this thick, and then starts going through the portfolio, this and that. And halfway through the meeting, I'm lost and confused because I've looked at so many numbers and so many charts that I forgot what he told me 15 minutes ago versus this time around a couple of weeks ago when, he showed up to the meeting, he literally had only 2 pages, had a printout, had a summary, and, it did not disclose what technology he was using. I hope it's
hopefully it was Gemini.
I believe it is Gemini Enterprise. I won't mention the company name, but I know that they are a big Google client. And he's like, well, I've done I've used my research assistant is what he called it, who's the agent has prepared the portfolio, prepared the summary, and because he knew from the previous meetings, I tend to not be a big fan of pile of data that he would make me study. He's come back with the summary of how the portfolio is done and what are some of the recommendations around what we need to do. So I agree with you that having that research assistant as you are engaging in consumer banking with the customers is very, very critical. Any last thoughts on Google Cloud and Slalom working together and solving the customer problems, especially from the agentification perspective?
Yeah, I think, we are mutually aligned in that our goal is to get to business outcome, business value as fast as possible. And one of the ways that we've really been doing that, and I think partnering with you all, is to land these accelerated teams, FDE teams that are very quickly getting on the ground, bringing industry domain knowledge, which I think we're both very passionate about, product managers, AI engineers that are working alongside client teams to transform the whole end-to-end value chain. How do we think about getting to value quicker. And that's really looking across the value chain, how we do work, changing the workflow, but landing those teams and very quickly identifying where we can add value and measurable business impact. And I think by doing that quickly, that's also what drives broader enterprise adoption, because people see the value that's coming quickly and they're able to actually recognize that in the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our mutual strategy to deploy, FDEs on customer side that really understands and the business problem, have the ability to decode the business processes, but then not only that, have the engineering chops to do the delivery of the technical work is I think has been very well received in our mutual clients, and I'm super excited on what's to come over the next few months for the remainder of the year. Thank you so much for your time, Kelly.
Thank you.